Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty fascinating from ancient Sumerian texts.
Yeah, this core idea where humans actually created to, well, serve a superior race.
And did that race basically teach us everything we know, kickstarting civilization? Let's get into it.
Okay, so our main source here is an article by Kadir Kumashik titled Creation, Intervention, Domination.
Right.
And it digs into the Sumerian creation stories, their gods, why they thought humans were made, all through this lens.
Especially considering how advanced Sumer was, right? Showing up around 4500 BCE with writing, complex math, cities.
Exactly. Cuneiform, the sexagesimal system, the plow, laws. I mean, it all happened incredibly fast.
And the Sumerians themselves said, hey, the gods gave us this.
Pretty much. So our mission, you could say, is to explore the evidence in their own texts for this idea. Creation for service, taught by gods, maybe even, ancient aliens.
Okay, let's dive into those creation myths first. What do they actually say?
Well, take the Eridu Genesis. It talks about guys making humans from clay. The purpose: to work the fields, look after animals, and importantly, worship the gods. It sounds like a team effort by these divine beings.
A coordinated plan.
Sort of feels that way. Then you have the intro to Gilgamesh, Enkidu in the Netherworld.
Yeah.
It names specific high-level gods like An, Ki, and Enlil being involved. Humans made by Anki, or maybe Enki. Again, specific powerful figures taking charge of creation.
And there's another one, everything before. It mentions creating different realms.
Right, like setting the stage before humans even appear. You could interpret that as preparing the environment for us.
Interesting. So what about the gods themselves? This is Sumerian pantheon. Are they the superior race?
Well, let's look at An, or Anu, the supreme sky god, source of all kingship.
Okay.
His top position granting kingship. Could that represent the leader of this race authorizing human society? And being a sky god definitely hints at, well, off-world origins for some theorists.
Makes sense. And Enlil, god of air, storms, basically head honcho on Earth.
Yeah, and the story says he separated heaven and earth. Sounds like a massive engineering project, doesn't it?
It really does.
Plus, he decided to flood the earth because humans were too noisy. That suggests wanting control over creations, maybe even harsh control.
Okay, so not always benevolent. What about Enki?
Enki, god of water, wisdom, magic, crafts. He's often seen as humanity's creator and protector. He even warned a human about that flood.
So the wise one.
Exactly. His knowledge, his secrets. It fits the idea of a guiding superior intelligence. He's credited with creating the Tigris and Euphrates rivers too, providing essentials.
And Ninhursag worked with him on creation, using clay and divine essence.
Right, the earth goddess, which, some interpret as hinting at biological or even genetic manipulation by this race.
It's a consistent picture.
Yeah.
Powerful beings directly involved.
Absolutely. And then there are the Anunnaki, offspring of Ananki, basically the council deciding humanity's fate, sometimes called those who from heaven to earth came.
That sounds pretty direct.
It does. Their power, their celestial connection, their control.
Right.
It all feeds into this idea of a superior, maybe extraterrestrial group managing human destiny. They had immortality, immense power, maybe advanced tech depicted as horned helmets or auras.
Okay, so the myths and the gods point towards this.
Right.
What about the reason for creating humans? Was it always service?
Overwhelmingly, yes. The Atrahasis epic is super clear. The younger gods, the Igigi, were tired of doing all the hard labor digging canals, maintaining the herbs.
It went on strike.
Pretty much. So Enki suggests creating humans to take over the workload. Nintu, another goddess, mixes clay with the essence of a sacrificed god to make us, our purpose. Do the gods' chores.
Wow, okay, explicit.
Very. And the Enki and Ninmah myth tells a similar story. Humans made from clay and divine essence specifically to bear the burdens of the gods. No glory, just work.
Any others?
The Song of the Hoe credits Enlil with creation and says humans exist to look after the gods. Another text, Ki-4, says humans were made using the blood of slain gods to work fields, maintain irrigation, ensure harvests, and perform rituals.
So it's a constant theme. Humans as cosmic janitors, basically.
That's one way to put it, yeah. Created for labor, designed by divine intervention.
Okay, so created for work. What about civilization itself? The Sumerians said the gods taught them.
That's the other key part. Enki, the god of wisdom, gets a lot of credit, inventing the plow, creating rivers, patron of Eridu city, bestowing knowledge. There's also the Oanos myth, this fish-like being, possibly linked to Enki, who supposedly came from the sea each day to teach early humans everything. Writing, science, art, building, laws, geometry,
Wow, a full curriculum.
basically, yeah. Then Enlil is credited with agriculture tools like the hoe, Enan with establishing laws. And the Abgal, these 7 sages linked to Enki, were said to bring the fundamental principles, the May, of civilization.
So the Sumerians attributed almost every major advancement directly to divine teaching.
They did, and this is where the ancient aliens theory really connects.
Right, explain that connection.
The core idea of the theory is that intelligent ETs visited Earth in antiquity and influenced our cultures, tech, maybe even our biology. Ancient gods. Maybe they were just advanced beings misunderstood by early humans.
Right.
Zecharia Sitchin is probably the most famous proponent. He interpreted Sumerian texts, especially about the Anunnaki, very literally.
What was his specific take?
He proposed the Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru, seeking gold here around 450,000 years ago.
Gold. Why gold?
Apparently for their atmosphere, though that's Sitchin's specific interpretation. The key part is his claim they needed workers for mining.
And that's where humans come in.
According to Sitchin, yes. He argued they genetically engineered Homo sapiens by mixing Anunnaki genes with Homo erectus to create a slave race.
So creation was for service, just. Mining service for aliens.
That's his view. And he said Sumerian civilization wasn't just inspired by them, it was established by them, with human kings acting as intermediaries. The whole divine right of kings idea.
What specific Sumerian evidence do theorists like Sitchin point to?
Well, the Sumerian king list is a big one. It lists rulers before the Great Flood with incredibly long reigns, thousands of years.
Like impossibly long for humans.
Exactly. So the interpretation is these weren't normal humans. Maybe they were the long-lived Anunnaki themselves, or human Anunnaki hybrids.
Okay, what else?
Artistic symbols. The winged disc is common in Near Eastern art, associated with gods and royalty. Some see it as depicting spacecraft.
Flying machines.
And there's a specific cylinder sail, VA-243. Sitchin famously claimed it shows our sun surrounded by 11 other celestial bodies, including what he identified as Nibiru, the 12th planet, knowledge supposedly given by the Anunnaki.
So they're taking these texts and artifacts and reading them through an extraterrestrial lens.
Precisely. It offers an alternative explanation for the myths, the gods' power, and that rapid Sumerian advancement.
It's definitely a different way to look at our ancient past.
It is. So to sum up, the Sumerian texts consistently describe humans being created by powerful godlike beings specifically for labor.
Right. That part seems pretty clear from the myths themselves.
And these beings, especially the Anunnaki, have attributes, celestial origins, immense power, advanced knowledge that align with the concept of a superior race, maybe an extraterrestrial one if you follow that theory.
And they're credited with giving humanity the tools of civilization.
Which helps explain, for some, the Sumerian problem, how they advanced so quickly. It wasn't gradual invention, maybe it was knowledge transfer.
And specific artifacts and texts are interpreted as potential physical evidence of this interaction.
Yes, though it's crucial to add that the ancient aliens theory itself is highly speculative and doesn't have broad support in mainstream academia.
Understood. It's an interpretation, not accepted history.
Exactly. But considering Sumer's incredible legacy and these persistent myths, well, leads to a final thought for you, the listener. Is it possible, when trying to understand Sumer's rapid rise, that influence from some kind of superior intelligence, whatever its origin, should be considered alongside other explanations? What if looking at our past with a slightly different lens could unlock new understanding? Something to think about.